Hi everyone, and thanks for checking out my channel. I'm going to do a review of the market ahead of the coming week. I'll be doing this for the next coming weeks. I don't have much time to actually spend to do any detailed analysis for any commodities, so I'm going to review a few of the assets I'm actually trading or looking to trade, and do this ideally over the weekend, do some check during the week if I can, and I'll be definitely I'll be looking at this in the coming weeks, as I have many other projects that are taking a bit of time of me, so yeah, I need to focus on this. So let's get started on crude oil WTI. As we were mentioning last weekend, we're having that major trend line that's now running here from that point at 76 down to 63, and we're struggling at 53. So if we zoom in, we're still inside that large uptrend channel that's still pushing to the upside, but I believe we are arriving now at some point where we're going to see some accumulation, potentially break lower, but all will come down to the 51 reaction, as this is the support we're having. The 20 MA on the daily is actually what's been supporting the move since we did actually break 38. So be interested to see what's going on next. So the daily divergence here is actually showing that we could actually reverse from there. If we zoom in on the 4 hours, we can see some sort of a triple top figure and pattern that's now pressing on 52. Should we break this, we have in the next support that's between 50 and 51. That should be actually acting as some sort of support. A break lower, of course, will open the door to 44, but that's a bit too early to actually start thinking about that kind of drop. If we look at the quote report during the period the week before, it was roughly around 52 with some spike up to 54, and we've seen that the managed money did actually reduce the long exposure, reduce short a little bit, but overall net long reducing, drop in open interest, and as we can see, the hedgers, swap dealers, did actually also reduce short, so not exposing or covering that much against higher price. So that's all pointing to some sort of a consolidation, and I'll be definitely trading short until we get to that point, and 51 is actually a buy area for now to potentially trade another move and a new attempt to break to 40, 53, 54. But of course, keeping a close eye in case we break that $50 level, because underneath there's not that much support, so it could go quickly lower. Looking at natural gas in a solid downtrend, a little bit contrary to WTI, but that's quite often the case. It's been quite a disastrous winter again for natural gas, and it's probably not the end. As we can see, there's a channel that's moving slowly down and another one that's moving a bit faster. So the question now, as we are pretty much in the middle of that range at 244, is are we going to bounce from there and do a new stop here? If that's the case, I'll be looking at short entry in that area here. I think that could be interesting. If that doesn't work that way, and if we can start seeing breaking it down, we're having, of course, 220. That's a solid resistance support, sorry, as we're having the trend line running here. Should that actually break, then we're having the gap to fill at 210. And in any case, I'll be looking at buying in that area. Depending how we go in terms of the technical, that could be a buy zone. Either could be just for a bounce, and I think that's what we could see, but that could be interesting. 260 as the new resistance, a little bit higher. There will be 250 in a way, of course, but yeah, that would be the plan. Are we going to break much higher than that? That'll be something to check later, but at the moment downtrend is quite solid. Proper reversal could be in place, as we can see the divergence trend line here running quite close. But that can easily, of course, break lower, as we can see here. We are already close. Should we actually break lower, then we're gonna set potentially new divergence much lower, but by then we will be easily at 210 to 20, so that's still reasonably far away. Looking at silver, also a configuration that's quite bearish in my opinion, except if we can manage to retake 26 and break much higher, and of course take 28. But as of now, we're having that inverted cup handle pattern that's on the daily. That chart is actually 4 hours. As we can see now, we're having a bear flag that's forming here. On the break, we are very likely to see another test of 22. So we're going to break that 22 level. That will be again the question. Should we break that level? That could be quite catastrophic for silver. And then, should that be the case, then we're having again to discuss the possibility to break much lower and clear up that divergence on the 4 hours. That one been pointing to that spike here, so that we'll be looking at $20 correction to actually clear up the divergence. Should we actually take the entire figure, let's say from the top to here? As we can see, the drop could be quite significant, and we are looking at a new support at 14. That seems extreme as of now. It's a very big drop. I have no idea if that will happen. Of course, 14 would be a fantastic buy level for silver for longer term, but still short term that could be disastrous for traders. So very careful at the $22 level. Of course, if we can save 25 and break higher and do some more reversing in there, which is of course very much possible, then it will be a different story and could delay that pattern forming here at the moment we're having here. It could be something like this, and of course a break much higher here would completely invalidate that setup and resume the uptrend with some power. But at the moment a little bit in the middle, and I'm still favoring the bearish scenario, at least down to 22. Looking at Bitcoin, because it's been of course quite big rally since we broke, I think it was 24,000, went up to 42 almost, I think, and yes, that's parabolic move that had to actually correct at some point, and we are inside that correction now. So we're not just inside a small correction. We've seen that the that's the daily chart, that the 20 MA broke, then we're having the 50 next, and of course the 200 that's running much lower. So there's two scenarios in my opinion. The first one is 27K stop. I don't have an absolute preference for now. They can be both valid. If we look at the 4 hours, we can see into more details that we're inside that downtrend channel. We are struggling against the 200 MA, but that's breaking down slowly. The scenario I'm having actually, if we look, inverted cup handle once again, but depending how you actually draw it, it will give you the two targets. I'm just explaining that quickly here. So should that be that scenario and the waterline would be 34, then we're definitely looking on the breakdown that we already had here, and then we are looking at 27. So that's the first target I'm having here. Should we actually be still inside the pattern with something like this, of course the correction will be a little bit bigger. We are still forming the handle here, and on the break of course it will go deeper, and here it's going straight to 20K. So that's the two scenarios. Of course, we're looking here on the 4 hours, we're having that divergence that's also backing up a pullback down to 20K. The only thing to keep in mind here is that we have no idea if it's going to stop at 27 or move down to 20K. I think 20K will be the floor in any case. Very great level to accumulate for longer term, but we need to keep in mind not to load any long position too heavy at that level at 30, because the drop to 20, of course, that's a massive move to the downside, 30%, and with Bitcoin that can actually come very quick. So careful, and especially no leverage at all on Bitcoin at the moment. That's an absolute no-go, and yeah, I'll be definitely watching this, but buy opportunity 27 and a spike down to 20, very much possible, but I believe on the daily here we are going to potentially save that trend line, which means if we get a dip down to 20, we're going to end the day at 23, so it's almost 10% in one day. So it's going to be a big opportunity on Bitcoin, I believe, in the coming days, potentially weeks. So yeah, definitely trading this, but be careful in case you're intending to actually trade anything above 30k. That's definitely risky. And finally, looking at coffee, I think it's building up some sort of compression against the 135. We've seen some pullback, but we are still moving inside that uptrend channel in the ender. Should that be the scenario that will actually happen? So I'd be interested next week to see if 120 can resist and support the price. Should we have a move to the downside here, and then it would actually bounce to make a new attempt to actually test the 135, potentially seeing complete breakout with a big target. We are talking about 180 almost. That would be, of course, a very, very big change on this market and very far away from this for now, but it's definitely possible. Should we actually start breaking lower and instead of that breaking the 120, we would be very likely closing that gap at 110, and then we could resume the move to the upside from there without necessarily invalidating the entire scenario. So yeah, that's about it for tonight. If you're interested in following what I'm doing and all the trades I take, you can join my WhatsApp group. There's no issue. Send me an email and I'll tell you how to do this. Until then, and when we speak next time in a video or something, I wish you safe trading and I speak to you soon. Cheers, bye.